So, to my right here, this is Dan Wall. This is our loan officer for our South County branches and locations, downtown, South County, and Fenton, and whatnot. And then also we have a realtor, Trenton, tonight. So he'll stick around afterwards. So if you got any questions for a realtor, what to look for, price ranges, if you're looking to move, you know, from a rent perspective, he'd be great at answering all those as well. So got a lot of resources tonight. So we'll try to wrap this up as quick as possible. That way we'll have more of a one-on-one, you know, focus time at the end. That way you can ask us. So if you got any questions at all, with it being a small group like this, which is even better for you guys, just shout out a question. If I'm going over a topic you want to, you know, learn more about, don't feel free to, you know, feel free to interrupt. So we'll start there. Before I get started, any questions off the get-go? Yeah.
What's your name?
Chris.
Okay.
Smith. Sorry.
Right.
So I'm the yeah. Good question. I'm basically the mortgage manager of the department.
Okay.
So oversee the origination, the underwriting, the processing. One unique thing is we actually service the loan too, so we're not going to sell it off to New York or all that. So basically one-stop shop. Yep. All right. Anything else? All right, let's get the show. All right, so basically we're going to try to cover like 11 steps to homeownership. You know, down payment, credit score, pre-qualified, how to choose an agent like, you know, Trenton. Search properties, choose your properties, submit your offer, loan approval, closing, when you actually get the keys. And that's the fun part. Who's going to get the moving van? All right. So as we boil down into saving for home ownership, basically the down payment is going to be one of your most important items. The bigger the down payment, the less your mortgage is going to cost you. Okay, better interest rate, less mortgage insurance if that's applicable, and whatnot there. So you guys are doing the right thing, learning about it. The more you can put away now to buying your first home, the better off you're going to be. Earnest money. Anybody have a clue what earnest money is? Okay, so earnest money is basically the money you put down on your sales contract with Trenton. So let's say you got a $100,000 offer, you're going to put, say, $1,000 down, and that makes that binding contract. So basically that offer money will also go towards your down payment. So it's basically money you put with your contract to say, and Trenton can explain this probably a lot better, but basically that I'm a legitimate buyer, I'm ready to make a true offer on it. Closing costs, this is a big one. You want to look at this whenever you compare lenders for sure. There's a lot of different closing costs. We'll go into more details later on with this, but you know, origination, credit report, all the small stuff, the title fees, the closing fee, they all start kind of adding up. So it's good to be aware of those up front. Because a lot of people just think down payment, you know, 5%, 3%, that's all I'll need. But also have to think of those other items too. Reserves, this is a big one. Basically, we can use your retirement funds, an extra savings account. Not everybody requires reserves, but basically if your credit score is a little bit lower, sometimes we have to say, okay, after you get your mortgage, do you still have, say, $1,000 in the bank? You know, a rainy day fund, basically, to make your payment. So how do you save? Put back 20 bucks a week. You know, don't eat out one night a week. Like, we all can make sacrifices. Cut the cable bill. Get a free antenna. You know, there's a lot of different ways. Can also get gift funds. So if you got family members looking into, you know, helping you out with the down payment, we can actually get gift funds from your family member. So we do quite a few of those actually, which helps out if, you know, if all pieces come together fine.
There's some non-for-profit organizations like Beyond Housing too. If you go through their program to get their certificate, and then they will give you some grant funds that you can help towards your down payment and closing too. So
make under a certain amount of income or something like that?
I'm trying to think if they do have an income requirement. I have to check into that.
Yeah.
What was that called?
Beyond Housing, yeah. Their website is really just beyondhousing.com too.
Well, a lot of the times that if you're looking in Jefferson County, they have a certain fund that it usually starts over every year, but they have a certain amount of money that they'll offer to first-time home buyers to get.
Just for that certain county, yeah. Some of the other counties do too. I'm more familiar, like New York, like in Florida, or St. Charles, they have their own funds. So that's a good point. If you call the community that you're moving into to see if they have something, call it City Hall.
And just to add on top of that, we actually just got awarded our own grant funds as well. So we have a partnership with the Federal Home Loan Bank out of Des Moines. And what that means is we've been granted $14,000 of grant funds. We actually just closed on our first loan with that. So we have $12,000 left. What we're doing is we're giving, if you fit the income requirements, it's basically county-based. St. Louis County is around 53,000, just as a rough figure on that. So if you fit within those income guidelines, we can actually give you $2,000 towards your closing costs. We can actually use it towards down payment too. So a great resource there.
That's Missouri and Illinois?
Correct. Yep. Now, once those funds run out,
Right.
we're basically done until next year. So just want to let you know that's a great
Is that
program.
something that renews in the beginning of every year, or they?
Normally, yes, but it's kind of a lottery process, so we were very lucky this year, to get those funds. So, free money for you guys if you meet all the qualification ratios and whatnot.
What did you say the income requirement?
Normally, it's about 53,000. And I can get you the details and all the schedules later on that. So we're going to dig deep into the credit score. We also have a credit score seminar that the credit union puts on that goes a little bit deeper than what we'll cover here, but just wanted to hit the basis of it because with the mortgage process, credit scores are such a big factor on what interest rate you pay. So basically, it ranges from 300 to 850. Just the general guideline, we're looking for like a 660 or higher. Now we can go down to like a 620, but then the down payment really jumps up on you, and not a lot of people have that, available to put down. So always want to check to see what your scores are. How to raise your score? So there's a lot of different ways. First off, make your payments on time. Easy as that. Pay down balances. A big one is that we're seeing currently is the revolving, which means your credit card, if you got a credit card, for example. And what that means is basically if you have a $1,000 limit, and let's say that credit card balance is $950, it's almost to the max, maxed out. They're really hitting you hard on that score from what we're noticing. Because that's basically a sign that you're, at that last resort. So the best thing to do is try to pay down those balances. Easy way to do that, well, I shouldn't say easy, but one idea to use is basically instead of paying that once a month, go ahead and pay it every time you get paid. So put a little bit towards it every time you get paid. Even though it's not due, that way when it pulls from the credit bureau, it shows a lower balance. So just a little idea there for you guys. Keep the revolving accounts open. So if you got a credit card from 1995, let's say, you don't use it, zero balance, keep it open. Because basically it's going to show that zero balance plus all that payment history. So you're going to lose out like 10 years on that payment history if you close it. So it kind of goes against common logic, but keep that open until at least you get done with your mortgage.
I think their system likes to look at the fact that you maybe have credit, but you're not using the credit. And that's why when you get over that magic 50% total limit and things like that, that's why it starts digging you, because then they think you're just over accessing.
Well, I thought it hurt you though if you had it open and not using it for like so long.
Everything that we've read and personally we see a lot of credit reports. We don't really see that. So we actually see the opposite effect. Yeah, as long as there are good payments on there, payment history on there, even though it's carrying a zero balance, it does actually help from what we've seen. Now we don't know the crystal ball, FICO, how they calculate the score. Nobody really does, you know. But basically what we can guide you guys on is what we see every day, you know, pulling these, and what has helped. Yeah.
I know some credit cards require you to use them within a year, because if you don't, now they're closing them out.
Closing them
because
out.
They happen to be
Right,
twice.
right. So best recommendation I have, put a tank of gas on it, let the statement hit for $25. Luckily, it's not $50 anymore. Once that payment hits, pay it off in full. You know, as easy as that. So, check your credit report 60 days before, just so you kind of got a good idea. We can help you with that, of course. But basically, you don't want to go and apply everywhere, because if you have a lot of inquiries, that can also affect your score. So don't go shopping, you know, every month for a new car, something like that. We also can do non-traditional. So let's say you're brand new, you don't have a credit card, you don't have an auto payment, no history showing up. We can actually use, you know, rent payments, utility bill payments, car insurance payments. Now the paperwork would stack up, you know, showing the 12 months worth, but we do have that option as well. So just real quick here, here's like the pie chart of what consists of the credit score. So as you can see, payment history is the biggest one. Capacity, this is the one kind of hitting on the credit card. So going back to that $1,000 balance, if you get 950, you're basically maxed out. So try to keep that under, you know, 50%, under 30%, somewhere in there, to get the best score. And then length of the credit history, types of credit. They just want to see, you know, a well-rounded, do you have a credit card, do you have an installment or auto loan, or, you know, a fixed payment, or that sort of thing. And then they also want to see a little bit of new credit. Just make sure you've applied for something every 4 years, you know, something to that degree, just so you stay current. So here's how your score can kind of affect your mortgage payment. Now these basically, don't take these grain and stone. This is just kind of an outline just to show you how much you could possibly save by taking care of your credit early on. So let's say you're a 720 plus. These rates change all the time. So just for example, 4.5 total, and this is based on 150,000. I don't know if you can see that in your slides, but so basically you'd be at $737. If you're all the way down here, like 620, 640, somewhere in there, it's all the way up to 805. So what that means is basically $65 or so, $70 more a month. Take that times 30 years. You got some Powerball money.
What if you're above 720, but you're 1099?
Sorry, say that one.
1099. You file your
1099s?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
that-
yourself.
Yeah, that's fine.
You can still get that.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, the maximum, the break-off point is a 740. Above 740, basically you have no benefit. You could be at 800, a 740. At least that's our guidelines on that. So 740 is really your magic key point to get the best, you know, part of the best price.
The 1099 really kind of comes into play on how we are required to calculate usable income. Like hourly salary, we can project the day forward. 1099 commission, bonus, tips, those kind of things, we actually have to go backwards. So we need to have a history and then do an average.
Oh, okay.
So that's really where the 1099 might, you know, come into play.
Okay.
But, good credit scores.
Yeah, good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else on this topic? If I go too quick, like I said, just raise your hand, go for it. So here's a couple of good resources. Annualcreditreport.com. You can pull your own credit report from them once a year for free. So I normally do it every time I file taxes. So I file my taxes. I need to do that this week. So basically what I look for is is there any collections showing up that aren't mine? Is there any late payments that really weren't late? There's a lot of reporting that goes on that never hurts to double check. Then if you have something show up, here's your 3 resources. You got these in your handouts. So first off, call them up, say, hey, I don't believe this is right. We need to dispute it. get all the paperwork behind it and kind of clear it up from there. So I would recommend, if you haven't done this, go home tonight, tomorrow, go ahead and pull it. That way, if you see what's out there, you can take care of it early on. Help you out.
That free credit report, is that the FICO report?
That is going to be the annual. You want to be careful with the freecreditreport.com versus the annual. The annualcreditreport.com is the one that's going to be free from the government. But they probably do have an option where you pay to get your credit score.
They actually pay for it.
So you have to pay for your score. You'll get your credit report for free, but they'll make you pay for the score.
But it's all three.
It's all three. Yep. So a really good free resource there for you.
It's good too, to monitor in case maybe you've had some hiccups in the credit in the past, because creditors, so often, you pay them, and then they close the file and they throw it in a drawer, and they never go back and follow through with correctly reporting it back to the credit bureau. Because quite often we'll have a borrower come to us and they'll say, we'll pull the credit and something's on there, and they say, well, I paid that like 4 years ago. Well, unfortunately, it still is a ding on their credit, and it's hurt them. It handcuffs them there, they can't go forward.
Yeah.
So just keeping a monitor on it to make sure that if you did have something cleared, make sure that the creditor went back and took care of it.
Good point. So basically, that's kind of the groundwork. Now that we're at the application process, we'll go through a little bit of that. So credit score, the assets, down payment, employment history. Here's kind of where Dan touched on. If you're W-2, hourly, salary, we can look at that. If you're commission, bonus, self-employed, we look at that a little different. So we won't get too deep into that tonight, but income, existing debt, we look at your debt to income ratio. So how much your monthly bills are according to your monthly income on that. Pre-qualified. This is probably a very important point. So when you get with Trenton, basically want to get pre-qualified. What that means is basically the lenders looked at your file, pulled your credit, verified some of your income. They basically say you qualify based on everything you told us. That gives Trenton an idea that you're qualified. He can show you all those homes and for the price range. So we're not going to put you in a home for $400,000 when you can really only afford $100,000. I love food, so we don't want you guys to eat macaroni and cheese for the rest of your life. We all want to go out to Olive Garden. We all want to go out to Red Lobster, Texas Roadhouse, you name it. Sugar Fire, it's my big one. That sort of thing. So we want to do what's right for you guys too. We might say, hey, this is your upper limit. Do you really want to, stretch it? Don't want to put you in a harm way. Right. That sort of thing. Then basically, you'll sign a book of paperwork. You can thank Washington, D.C. for this. So with all the compliance and regulations, it's a pretty thick stack. Dan and Scott go through all that with you, great. Once we get that back, we go through the inspection process, the appraisal process, really get your file going and processing. So the loan processing and underwriting, this is all kind of behind the scenes. We try to make it as smooth as possible so you guys don't even know what goes on. After that, closing and funding, then you get the keys. Then you call Dan the weekend and say, Dan, I got the U-Haul at my apartment. I'm ready to move.
Really quick, just to kind of go back over the pre-approval. A lot of times, a lot of listers will not allow a buyer to even put an offer in unless you're pre-qualified. They're getting to a point that they just don't let anyone in. That's how important that thing really is nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Because they don't want to tie their home up for 30, 45 days on a contract when they don't. Right. But the deal might fall through and then they're stuck making another mortgage payment or something like that. So yeah, good point. So basically we got two types of mortgages. We got fixed rate and adjustable rate. Adjustable rate's a little scary. We don't want to put anybody in that product if we don't have to. The benefits are lower interest rate. Here's one scenario where it might fit you. Let's say you know you're going to only be in that home 3 years. Starter home, gonna have better income, better job down the road, hopefully, you know, gonna move up. That's where you could maybe look at an ARM. Now, if the interest rate's not that much difference, peace of mind, go ahead and get the 30-year fix. You know, go ahead and get the 15, 20-year fixed rate. So we'll go over all those options, you know, come time, but I would say, you know, good 80% or, you know, always fixed in what we do. Because what can happen is that interest rate could go up possibly, and then your mortgage payment could also go up. So just a little, yeah.
And I have a question. So every time that happens, if you're on that that adjustable one, does that mean you have to pay closing cost again?
No.
No?
So basically, as long as you're on that ARM, all that's going to move is going to be the interest rate.
Oh, okay.
So we got 3 different options. We have like a 5-year fixed, a 7-year fixed, and a 10-year fixed. And what that means is that interest rate couldn't move up for at least those 5, 7, or 10 years. So that's where you'd be locked in at, say, 3.5%, for example. You know, it can't move up on you until 10 years. So if you know you're going to move out of that home in 3 years, you still got 7 years to play with before if something happens. So just want to go into that. So here's the closing costs that we talked about a little bit earlier. Origination fee, this is a big one to look out for. Right now we charge $595 to cover basically all of our behind the scenes work. So pretty cheap when we compare to some other lenders on that. Credit, flood, transcripts, you know, third party fees. Transcripts will include in the origination fee, so we don't charge you for those, but just so you know they're out there. Credit report and whatnot, we pull all 3 bureaus just to go back into that. Title fees, this is a big one. This is probably going to be one of your top ones. So it varies title company, mount to mount, but probably somewhere in the ballpark of $1,000 to $1,500 on that. Appraisal fees, here's some good news. Who likes free? All right, so during this year, as long as you apply and close on a home with us this year, we're actually paying for your appraisal. So that's going to save you another $300 to $400 up front. So that even benefits you more because you got so many other closing costs to worry about, and that's actually the one you have to pay up front too. So we take on all that for you guys. Last part is probably your escrows, mortgage insurance, homeowners insurance, property taxes. All those kind of add up. Definitely shop around on that. So just want to kind of point out a breakdown of those. Mortgage payments. So like any other loan, principal and interest is your top bucket. And then on your escrow, we're going to pay for your property taxes and your homeowners insurance. So what that means, kind of break it down in math. So let's say your taxes are $1,200 a year. So you're going to take that $1,200 divided by 12. So you're going to pay an extra $100 a month in your payment to help cover that. Okay? But the nice thing about that is, come December, it's Christmas time. You got your personal property tax on your card, and all your other bills coming due. So that way you don't have to worry about paying your property tax. You've already paid into it for the full year. The lender actually pays it for you. Same thing with your homeowner's insurance. So basically take your total, divide by 12, and that'll give you a rough estimate of your escrow payment. So wanted to point out that. Finding a real estate agent. This is why we brought Trenton in here. So basically, this is important. You want to feel comfortable with them. You know, are they asking you the right questions? Are they showing you the right home? You know, if you're pre-qualified for $150,000, are they showing you $400,000 homes? You know, something like that. Everybody's time is very important. Trenton's excellent. He can pull up the listings, email you the listings right there. You tell him my background, he'll go all into all this later, but you tell him my background, what you're looking for, he'll get you 3, 10 different properties and narrow it down, schedule them all out, boom, 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 done. Really efficient, okay? So we'll go into all that later on. Basically a budget, this goes back to my macaroni and cheese, scenario, ramen, whatever you guys want to use there. So don't want to suffer from a new home, not have anything left over. You still want to have enough funds, emergency day. If your car breaks down, can you, pay a $500 car bill, that sort of thing. So look at everything, what your property taxes are. Agent can help you out with this. What are the taxes? What's the average homeowner's insurance for this property? A lot of things to look out outside of the lending area, that sort of thing that has those variables. So the big one's the homeowners association dues. So if you've got a condo, if you're in a homeowners association, some of those dues can be an extra $200 a month. So just be on the lookout for those. This will help you. You can pull this up at home. We have a mortgage calculator on our website. You type in average, mortgage amount, interest rate, and get you an estimated payment. So there's just a quick reference. We'll let Trent go into this, but are you looking for 3-bedroom, 2-bath? How many bathrooms? At a minimum 2. Try to narrow it down. That way, what you're looking for. Style, location. Do you want to be next to Manchester? Do you want to be downtown? Do you want to be out in St. Peter's? That sort of thing. Ranch, 2-story. Any preference there? Here's what we can land on. So single-family house, your standard home, duplex, planned unit development. All that means is basically it's in a homeowner association. Big, long, fancy word for that. A condo, you gotta watch your condo fees, definitely, on that. So we've seen some that the fees are actually more than your mortgage payment. So really be on the lookout for that. Townhouse, manufactured housing, if you got a manufactured home, not a lot of that in St. Louis metropolitan area, but if you get out in Wentzville and Jefferson County, we can actually do those as well. So there's all of that. Any questions?
What is manufactured housing?
So basically, manufactured is like think of it like a mobile home sort of thing where they affix it to a foundation, where they actually bring it in on site. So let's say you got 2 acres or something like that. A lot of people can bring in, a manufactured home, put it on a foundation, and they're drunk. So yeah, some of them can even include it in the basement and everything now. So they can get expensive anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can actually get some nice, probably not the first thing that comes to mind, when you buy a home, but they're actually really nice anymore.
It's actually the market for planned unit for that sort of thing is actually coming up because when you build a house outside, all the builders, you got rain, you got snow, anything that's going to affect the beams or the concrete or anything like that, versus this stuff that's been built in a warehouse, they come and connect it on site in a day, it's done, it's a lot more cleaner. So they're actually having that come up now.
Yeah.
And insurance companies like that because they don't have any hidden things.
Controlled environment. Don't have mud all over the 2x4s, or anything like that.
So if you buy a piece of land and decide to build, you don't cover that though.
So we don't actually do construction financing. Basically, building stick-built homes up from scratch or anything like that. Now, if you have the land and you're buying a manufactured home and want to put it on that, then we could definitely do that.
Or just the manufactured homes?
Just the manufactured home,
Okay.
right. Now, after your construction phase is done, you're 30 days from being completely done with the home, then yeah, we can definitely do the permanent financing.
We can do construction to perm, we just don't cover the construction part of it, as far as the disbursement sometimes with different contractors and things like that.
Okay.
But we can do the final construction.
Do the final one, okay.
Good question. Anything else on that? All right. So I'll let Trenton go into all this, how to look up the real estate agent on the MLS, what to look for, take pictures. I love taking pictures when I personally look for a house. You look at so many, you kind of forget. take a picture, put it on your phone, make it a notepad, what you liked about the home. You know, really love the bathroom, really love the high hallway, you know. Just take as many notes as possible. Also another good little, just personal tip, bring a tape measure. If you got furniture, make sure it fits, and all of that good stuff too. So just a little tidbit there. I'll let him go into all of the offer aspects, purchase price, closing date, at least probably 30 days with all the paperwork that we have to get through. Big one that we get a lot is seller closing costs. So try to put that in perspective. So you can ask up to 3% of your purchase price. So if you've got a contract for $100,000, we can lend $3,000 from the seller closing costs. So they'll help you pay for your closing costs. Give you an example of what happened today, actually this morning. So this real estate agent got this borrower so much money, we had money left over. Good problem to have. So we were actually able to bring their interest rate down 0.25% at the end of the day because they had money left over. We want to get the best bang for the buck. We don't want to leave any money on the table for them. It's their money. So we actually were able to buy down the interest rate another 0.25%, ended up saving them like an extra $20 a month. So it's really important in the offer. Trenton can go through all that with you guys whenever you know look for a home. Making an offer, agent will present the offer to the seller. Seller might counter back and forth, go through the negotiation phase. Basically accept, reject. Once the offer is accepted with that earnest money, then it's a binding contract. That's when we get all the paperwork going, the appraisal process, inspection. You get on the roller coaster.
Send your deposit.
There you go. Yep. Pre-closing period, basically, we don't require a home inspection. I personally think it's a good idea. Just because you're putting that much money down on the house, normally it's your biggest investment. So, I mean, Trent could probably go into more detail on all the items that he's seen that come up on one. You see it all, put it that way. They're really good at what they do. They know what to look for. You know, could the furnace maybe go out in 5 years or 3 years? You know, if you have $5,000 ready to replace your furnace. You know, a lot of good, interesting, you know, tips from them too. You know, check in with the lender at least once a week at a minimum. You know, where am I at in the process? Do you need anything from me? Something like that. Go ahead and get a couple quotes of homeowners insurance. Even if you've been with your agent for 30 years, check around because we see it all. We've seen the same policy for $500 difference. I mean, so just my opinion, go ahead and get 2-3 different quotes. Doesn't hurt. Might take 30 minutes of your time, but it can save you a lot of money in the long run. This is a big one. So once you sign your application, do not go to Coles and try to get 30% off.